Lucas sighed as he stared at his English textbook. The words on the page seemed to blur together, no matter how hard he tried to focus. "Why is this so difficult?" he muttered to himself. He had been studying for hours, but nothing seemed to stick. As he packed his books into his old wooden desk, something caught his eye, a small, shiny pen tucked away in the corner of the drawer. It looked ancient, with intricate carvings along its silver body. Curious, Lucas picked it up. The moment his fingers touched the pen, a faint glow emanated from it. "Whoa! What is this?" he whispered. Without thinking, he scribbled the word hello on a piece of paper. Suddenly, the room began to spin. Colors swirled around him, and before he knew it, he was no longer in his bedroom. When the spinning stopped, Lucas found himself standing in the middle of a cobblestone street. The air smelled of fresh bread and smoke, and people dressed in old-fashioned clothes walked past him, speaking in a strange old version of English. "Where am I?" he whispered, clutching the pen tightly. He looked around, his heart racing. This wasn't his world anymore, and if he wanted to survive, he'd have to learn how to communicate. Yes. Lucas took a deep breath, trying to calm his nerves. The bustling street was unlike anything he had ever seen. People in long coats and bonnets hurried past, their conversations a mix of words he barely understood. He needed to figure out where or when he was. Spotting a grand building with a sign that read, "The Globe," Lucas felt a spark of recognition. "The Globe Theatre. Shakespeare's theatre," he muttered. As he approached, a man in a ruffled collar and a feathered hat stepped out, holding a quill and parchment. Lucas hesitated but knew he had to try. "Hello. My name is Lucas. Can you help me?" he said, his voice trembling slightly. The man looked at him with a curious smile. "Of course. What dost thou need?" Lucas blinked. The man's English sounded old-fashioned, but he could still understand it. "I am lost. Where am I?" "Thou art in London, good sir. The year is 1599, the man replied. "I am William Shakespeare at thy service." Lucas's jaw dropped. William Shakespeare. The William Shakespeare. Shakespeare chuckled. "Indeed. And thou, young man, speakest a most peculiar English. From whence dost thou come?" Lucas's mind raced. How could he explain time travel to the greatest playwright in history? Instead, he decided to focus on the immediate problem. "I need to learn how to speak. Like you. Can you help me?" Shakespeare nodded. "Verily, I shall assist thee. But first let us begin with the basics. Repeat after me. My name is Lucas." Lucas repeated the phrase, feeling a little more confident. Maybe this strange adventure wasn't so bad after all. Shakespeare led Lucas into the Globe Theatre, where actors were rehearsing on stage. The air was filled with the sound of dramatic lines and laughter. Lucas couldn't believe he was standing in the same room as some of the greatest performers of all time. "Now, young Lucas," Shakespeare began, "let us delve into the art of language. Thou hast already mastered. My name is Lucas. But tell me, dost thou know how to ask questions?" Lucas shook his head. "Not really. I know what is this. But that's about it." "Ah, a fine start," Shakespeare exclaimed. "Let us expand thy knowledge. Repeat after me. Where am I?" Lucas repeated the phrase, stumbling slightly over the words. Shakespeare patiently corrected him, emphasizing each syllable. "Excellent. Now try this. What dost thou mean?" Lucas frowned. "What dost thou mean?" Shakespeare smiled. "Dost thou is how we say do you in this time. For example, dost thou understand? Means, Do you understand? Lucas nodded slowly. I think I get it. So, what dost thou mean? Is like, what do you mean? Precisely. Shakespeare clapped his hands. Thou art a quick learner. Now let us practice these phrases together. For the next few minutes, Lucas repeated the phrases, gaining confidence with each attempt. He even tried asking one of the actors, "Where is the exit?" and was thrilled when the man pointed him toward the door. As the rehearsal continued, Lucas felt a strange sense of belonging. Maybe this time-traveling adventure wasn't just about learning English. It was about discovering a whole new world. As the sun began to set over London, Lucas felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He had learned so much from Shakespeare, but he couldn't shake the feeling that his adventure wasn't over yet. Clutching the magic pen, he whispered, "I wonder where this will take me next." Without hesitation, he wrote the word future on a scrap of parchment. The world around him blurred once again, and the familiar sensation of spinning returned. This time, when the dizziness faded, Lucas found himself standing in a sleek, modern city. Towering skyscrapers gleamed in the sunlight, and people in sharp suits hurried past, talking into tiny devices. "Whoa! This is the future," Lucas muttered, his eyes wide with wonder. Just then, a small robot rolled up to him. It had a friendly, glowing face and spoke in a clear, robotic voice. "Hello. How can I assist you?" Lucas blinked, surprised but relieved. At least the English here sounded more familiar. Hi. I need help. Where is the train station?" The robot's eyes flickered as it processed the question. "The nearest train station is 200 meters ahead. Would you like me to guide you?" Lucas smiled. "Yes, please." As they walked, Lucas couldn't help but feel a surge of confidence. If he could handle Shakespeare's Old English, he could definitely handle this. The robot, which introduced itself as RoboAssist 3000, led Lucas through the bustling streets of the futuristic city. Lucas couldn't stop staring at the holographic billboards and flying vehicles overhead. It was like something out of a sci-fi movie. "So, RoboAssist," Lucas began, "can you teach me some useful phrases in English? I'm still learning." "Of course," the robot replied cheerfully. "Let's start with common questions. Repeat after me. Where is the nearest restroom?" Lucas repeated the phrase, stumbling a bit on restroom. "Excellent," RoboAssist said. "Now try this. How much does this cost?" Lucas practiced the phrase a few times until it felt natural. "This is awesome. What else can you teach me?" RoboAssist's eyes flickered as it accessed its database. "Here's a useful one. Can you help me find?" For example, "Can you help me find a cafe?" Lucas nodded eagerly. "Can you help me find a cafe?" "Certainly. There's one just around the corner," the robot replied. "Would you like to practice ordering food?" "Yes, please," Lucas said. RoboAssist guided him through common phrases like, "I would like," and "Do you have?" Lucas practiced ordering a sandwich and a drink, feeling more confident with each repetition. As they walked, Lucas realized how much he had already learned. From Shakespeare's Old English to RoboAssist's modern phrases, he was starting to see how language connected people across time. "Thank you, RoboAssist," Lucas said as they reached the train station. "You've been a huge help." "It was my pleasure," the robot replied. "Safe travels, Lucas." As Lucas stood in front of the futuristic train station, he felt a mix of emotions. He had traveled through time, met incredible people and a robot, and learned so much about English. But now it was time to go home. He pulled out the magic pen and stared at it for a moment. "Thank you for this adventure," he whispered. Then he wrote the word present on a small piece of paper. The world around him began to spin once more, and the bright lights of the future faded into darkness. When the spinning stopped, Lucas was back in his bedroom, sitting at his desk. The magic pen lay quietly in his hand, its glow now dim. Lucas smiled. He opened his English textbook and noticed something amazing. The words that once seemed so confusing now made sense. He could read and understand them with ease. "I did it," he said to himself. "I can learn English one step at a time." As he placed the pen back in the drawer, Lucas felt a surge of confidence. This adventure had shown him that learning a new language wasn't just about memorizing words. It was about connecting with people, exploring new worlds, and never giving up. "Who knows where this pen will take me next?" he thought, closing the drawer. "But for now, I'm ready to keep learning." Lucas closed his English textbook and looked out the window, feeling a newfound sense of accomplishment. He had traveled through time, faced challenges, and learned that English wasn't just a language. It was a bridge to new experiences and connections. "Today you've learned that every word is a door to a new world," he said, as if speaking directly to the viewer. "Just like me, you can start with simple phrases like hello and can you help me? And little by little, build your confidence." He held the magic pen one last time before putting it away. "Remember, every small step counts. It doesn't matter if you're talking to Shakespeare, a robot from the future, or a friend in the present. What matters is that you try." With a smile, Lucas concluded. "So, keep practicing, exploring, and above all, have fun while learning. Who knows? Maybe your own time travel adventure is just beginning."